Hey everybody, welcome to the live hour. Today is Thursday, April 2nd. My name is John Kovach, Amplified Minds president and founder of the Champion Circle. Today we're going to have some conversations about turning your partnerships into profits. Now, if you joined us on Tuesday, you would have learned that we needed to turn our connections into relationships and then those relationships into partnerships. What we're talking about today is extending those partnerships to actually get profits. We'll share a few stories, we'll share a few ideas, and a few things that will allow you to kind of brainstorm and create ideas as to how you can better improve your relationships, turn them into partnerships, and then turn those partnerships into ways that you get paid. You see, if you're not getting paid by your relationships, there's something wrong or there's something missing. And it all depends on your strategy. It all depends on how you hope to continue to build those relationships. And it all depends on who you associate with, right? It all depends on who you spend time with. I think that's an incredible piece to remember. And it's also something you should develop in your strategy for networking and creating relationships for. So that's the discussion that we'll have today. If you're hopping onto the show, please make a comment is what I was trying to say. I'm trying to pull up my comments here. Say hello, say hi that you're here. Like, share, whatever you would like to do. If you'd like to have an answer, a question answered, just say below and I'll bring you up on the screen and we can chat through this. I'd love to ideally mastermind with you and create a brainstorming session between people to open up this opportunity and discuss with you how you can turn your current relationships into partnerships and then make those partnerships profitable. As I do this, I'm going to go through the typical structure here of inviting everybody on Facebook. And so I'll be taking just a second to do that. I do wish that it would do this automatically for me, but because I'm running off of a general service, this one seems to take a second. So I'm going to take this and share it with my personal peeps. Boom, boom, boom. And I have a really cool book I want to share with you guys. Something that I've been reading. A friend of mine shared it with me, and I'm really grateful for the friends I have and for the things people have shared with me, the things that people have given to me, and so forth. It's really cool. It's refreshing to have really, really inspiring things. If you ever want to give me a gift, this is an invitation to the world. If you ever want to give me a gift, I love books. And then if you write a little message about why you love that book or why you thought of me for that book and why you wanted to give that book to me, I love that. I will melt and you will be my favorite person. And this person did that, just that. So let me pull this up here as I'm sharing it to several groups. Perfect. Nope. And then we're going to go down to the bottom here and share it there. Cool. The book is called The Book of Awesome. It really is just a book of awesome things. I open up to a random page and I read to you a long hug when you really need it. I think a lot of people need that. Now, social distancing, keep your distance. How about virtual hugs? A really long virtual hug. You ever hugged yourself? What an interesting thing. It goes on to say sometimes we get rattled, yada, 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 but this is absolutely awesome. A good floss after a tough steak. Awesome, right? Things are awesome. Licking the batter off the beaters of a cake mixer. There's some awesome things in here, and I've liked this because it's just been a reminder of how great life is. How incredible things are. This was given to me by my good friend Dan Clapper. Dan, thank you so much for the book. I've been really enjoying it. Dan wrote, cheers to an awesome 2020, and then I'll read this one. Pushing those little buttons on the soft drink cup lid, like McDonald's or at your typical fast food restaurant. Those are awesome things. Getting into bed with clean sheets after shaving your legs. I don't shave my legs often, but I can only imagine that that's awesome for a lot of people. Really great book, really great reminder of everything that is awesome. I thought I would share that just to kick off some things here and to just tell you how grateful I am for everything and for everyone. And there's just some really cool people out there. So as I get into this conversation about turning your partnerships into relationships, I thought I would share that. And now I'm distracted by sound here. Perfect. Here we go. And please post a comment below if you have any questions. If you'd like to talk about some of the things with me, I'd like to bring you on the screen and we can chat. If you don't want to be brought on the screen, just ask your question, and I'm going to flash it up at the top here so that way we can all see it. For example, boom. I'm going to post this in the chat, and then I can bring that up on the screen like that, right? Okay, so during this live hour, let's talk about how you strategically turn your relationships into partnerships and how those partnerships can become profits. On Tuesday, we shared some stories. We shared some ideas about how my friendships have turned into relationships that have gotten me paid, all from little things like golfing and building incredible relationships of just being myself, having fun, going on hikes. In fact, I was skiing a year ago with a really good friend of mine up at Deer Valley Ski Resort here in Park City, and we were enjoying the slopes when all of a sudden I just started to ask him, what is it that you want to do after you finish med school? And this person went on to tell me, well, I've got this genius idea, and I don't want to tell anyone because I'm afraid everyone's going to steal it. And I was like, well, the truth is everyone's going to steal it no matter what. So what is it, and what would you like to do? And he talked to me about this telemedicine idea that he had and the structure for it. And we got into talking, and just within minutes, we had the most brilliant plan, the most incredible idea, the best way to set it up, and also how to build a really great partnership. And he was super grateful. He was like, John, thank you for all this discussion. How do I include you in this? And I was like, well, a 50-50 partnership would be great, but that wouldn't be ideal because this is your thing. This is your deal. So for me, why don't I just be a referral partner? Why don't I just create opportunities for you by sharing this with people and then also helping you raise some funds? And it worked out really great. And as he's finishing up med school, it's one of those things that we continue to talk about and we continue to be excited about, and with the potential that we'll get paid. So that's been a really fun experience for me. And it's super simple. All you have to do is know and understand exactly what you want to be, what you want to do, and then allow people into your life who can help you do it. This week we met, last past week we met with a good friend. His name's Jason Curtis. Jason, if you're listening, shout out to you, my friend. It was super simple. Got him on a phone call with my friend and partner Ryan, and though our businesses are similar, there were so many things that allowed us to work together, and already an incredible opportunity to share clients to help each other be valuable. Let me go into that for a minute, because why is it important that we share ideas with people who are like us, right? If people have the same business, same model, why should coaches network with coaches? Why should speakers network with speakers? Why should anybody who of the same liking work with other people? And one of the things that I always say is that when you know exactly what they do and what you do, you should know where your weaknesses are. You should know where your strengths are and where you can support and where you can help each other. I think it's incredibly valuable to just know exactly what you're going up against when you work with people. But when you do that, you end up recognizing where that person can help you. I think it's extremely valuable and really important that you recognize the strengths in the people who you know and what you are able to do. Now is a good time for you to jump in if you have any questions. Sorry for the pause and the lag there. A little bit of lag on my end. And I'm back. Sorry about that, everybody. I had some technical difficulties here at home, and now we're back on. But we'll start off the conversations with Willie. Thanks, Willie, for joining us again today. He said, have you used relationships to create partnerships? So that's an interesting question, because have you used relationships to create partnerships? All my partnerships are with relationships first. I never go into something without reading the lines or making sure that it's a good relationship. All of my relationships have led. Or let me backtrack. All of my profits have been created through relationships. A lot of people we're evolving in the sales and in the sales industry, and as we evolve, people are forgetting that humans are humans. People are forgetting that a sale isn't just a sale. Let's talk about the mindset of a car dealer, right? And let me give you an example of a good and a bad. Everyone has had a bad car experience, a bad car buying experience. No one has ever escaped the car buying experience without experiencing a bad one. And if you have, get on the show right now. Let's talk about it, because this is good. But let me tell you a little bit of both, right? The car buying experience, you get in, and for most people, they have a budget, or they have something that they have come in mind to buy, right? And when they're being sold on it, oftentimes the salesperson will not give you everything you want. They'll usually get you what's on the lot, or what they think they can get you, or they'll try to stretch you a little bit and pitch you on other cars, other options, maybe out of your reach, but might still benefit you and get you everything you want. And so in a way that they're very, very helpful. But to them is, we got to give you a car so that we can get paid. That's their mindset. That's what they talk about. And taking care of the customer, there's various levels and strategies behind it. They go from management, talking to the managers, to talking about a few other, the whole, let me get up and talk to the manager. Let me see if we can make that work. Da, 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 da. There's just that experience. And it's a lot of back and forth and a lot of working with the accounting team too. And what they're really just trying to figure out is how they can get you to buy the car for the most expensive value, but make it appear like it's the best value for you. And then they get the highest commissions because there are a lot of things in play, right? They're working with banks, they're working with commissions, they're working with a bunch of things. Whereas it's super easy to just go in and buy with cash, right? But I've had experiences where I came in and I said, I want this car. And that was exactly what they did not bring to us. They brought us a bunch of other vehicles, a bunch of other cars that just didn't make sense, didn't fit. And we were there for another hour and a half and they're trying to sell us on these cars that we didn't want. And all of a sudden we just had to do the awkward thing of get up and walk away. Otherwise we were going to end up feeling pressured and bullied into buying something we didn't want. So there's one side of sales that people don't understand. There's no relationship in that. The people, I know the name of the guy and I've written bad reviews about him, and there's no way I have a relationship with this dude. Sometimes every now and then I get a text from him or just some spammy marketing ploy about upcoming lots and new models and stuff like that. But no, I never wanted to keep a relationship with that person. So there's the bad end. And that's what a lot of sales is like for a lot of people. A lot of people are just trying to make a sale. They're just trying to put it out there. E-commerce is the same thing. They have a product. They think, oh, I have buyers. There are people who will buy my product, but you've got to create the relationship. You've got to, and I love these words from two of my friends, Michael Drew, as well as Kyle Taylor, and they talk about how there's a particular romance, there's a seduction in sales, and that's where marketing comes in. Marketing creates a seduction for people, and there's usually touch points and times and places where people can pull you in for sales. But that seduction isn't necessary to lure you in. We're not the hook and you're the fish. It's not about that. It's about creating a relationship. It's about making something go beyond the service that you provided them. And sometimes just doing the service that you're good at is almost a good underlying factor that's good enough. Okay. The positive side of a car salesman is, and this experience happened to us. We had a guy who worked with us when we were buying our Land Rover, and he was genuine. He was excited. He was willing to let us go when it got late. He was willing to call us up and be there if we had any ideas or questions. He was willing to look at other venues and other dealerships for us. He was able to recommend his honest recommendations and so forth. And it was just a very, very positive experience. This guy continues to reach out. He texts my wife and I on our birthdays, sends us cards, not because he wants our business in the future. And I think he does. I obviously do. We'll probably go back to him if we ever needed to buy a car of the liking. But the fact that he's maintained this relationship, I walked away, didn't feel like I just got sold by somebody. I walked away knowing that, hey, I could call that guy up for anything and we can go get tacos, or we can go get, smoothies or coffee or sometime together. And I just think that that's very, very interesting, that the way he did that. I would rather talk to that person and build a partnership where I would refer people to him to go buy a car no matter what they want than I would with anyone else. And that becomes a profitable partnership. That becomes something where I say, hey, if I send you 10 people a month, would you be able to, spare me some ideas or something on the back end? But we'd create this relationship that is reciprocating and allows me to have profits and allows him to have profits. He would get more customers than he did before because of the positive reviews and recommendations. Whereas the other guy, the opposite end of the spectrum, the guy who bullied me into staying for an hour and a half and we ended up walking out on, I would have never, ever referred anyone to him. In fact, I've tried to pull people away. Anytime they say, oh, I think we're going to go to this dealership, and I say, don't go. It's not worth it. There's a guy there. He's got buddies there. They're all bad. They're all horrible people. They do not listen. They just try to sell you whenever you can. They'll get you in, and then 2 hours later, you find yourself buying something you don't want. So there are ways to build relationships in the sales process. So there's kind of an underlying factor to your comment, Willie, and I appreciate that question. Have you used relationships to create partnership, to create profits? Absolutely. But here's the thing: is your profits, though they have a lot of factors building into them, whether they be the systems that create the profits, to maximize the profits, to minimize your spending, to increase profits, wherever your business is and whatever that looks like, you must understand that profits are created through relationships. Okay. And the better you increase your relationships, the greater your profits will grow. So let's take an example. And Willie, you might like this example. I know somebody who has started a brand and has a goal on social media quite regularly. In fact, they've invited people. They've got the content consistency down, and one day, someday, the consistency and the algorithms will work in their favor. Uh-oh, it looks like my video cut out for just a second. Okay, but this person, though they continue to post and to post and to post, I admire their consistency. But what is interesting is they're still not getting engagement. They're still not getting reactions. They're not building relationships with people. They seem to be the only ones commenting on their own posts. And those people, or shall I say, this person is missing out on the relationships that they could be building. Whereas they should continue with their consistency, but they need to branch out and they need to react and engage with other people in the same space, in the same liking, people who are doing the same thing as them, build alliances, build relationships, build strategic partnerships. That is how you build and grow. And that's how your profits grow too, because now all of a sudden you have friends who you can collaborate with. You have friends who don't do what you do, who have friends that do what you do. And then you can share your work together. It's extremely awesome. It's extremely important that you focus on your relationships first, and then you can raise your profits. So there's an answer to your question, Willie. I'm really grateful for that question. It's vital to everybody that you focus on the things that you can focus on, right? When you have circumstances that prevent you from achieving what you want, it often can be resulted back to who you know and what you're doing to help those people. It really does. I've seen it in my business and in our lives. There's just a lot of things that could get in the way or could create hurdles in your business when you're not connected to the right people. One of my favorite examples, we shared this on Tuesday, is I have a relationship with a group of guys who run products in this financial industry. And while they were just selling me on stuff while we were golfing, I kind of put it off to the side because I didn't really see the potential. But once I discovered a little bit into their product or their service, I recognized how great, how awesome that product that they had was, and that they could help so many people, right? Speaking of awesome, we're just talking about awesome things. By the way, I need to share. I just had an idea and I'm going to verbalize it and then I'm going to commit to it. But I need to send this book to my good friend, Mr. Awesome. He would love this book. It's super great. So again, if you have any questions, any thoughts, any ideas, press them in the comments below. It's possible that I'll bring you up on the screen and we can have some great conversations. But I do appreciate that comment, Willie. Have you used relationships to create profits? Now let's talk about the negative side of that, because I do sense, not that you intended on this, but I do sense that there could be somebody could read that and say, oh man, that sounds really bad. Have you used people, right? Have you used a relationship to create profits? And I would say yes. The answer is yes. But look, know how you're using these relationships. Find ways to create profits that are beneficial to everybody, because the profit's not worth it if you have to throw somebody in the mud. The profits aren't worth it. No profit is worth it if you have to destroy someone in the process, right? And that's something that no one ever wants to talk about, no one ever wants to go down or be a part of and be a victim of, right? But I have seen more and more people use their relationships to create profits on a positive side than they have a negative side. Unfortunately, we've seen people use our relationships, like stealing relationships and creating various profits for themselves. For their benefit, and that's not good, right? You don't want to steal, you want to be able to benefit. But for example, here's a great example. You should be proud that people are using you or using your relationship to benefit, and you should be asking how and how you can do it too, because that is something that will allow you to increase the value. And I'm talking value in numbers, value in currency, and value in how you measure your relationship, various ways. So a good example of this is I have a friend who plans events, and that friend has introduced me to dozens of people. And those dozens of people have come into my life and come out of my life. They've been really great connections and really great people. Some of them I've purchased from, and some of them I've ignored. But recently, I have been given the opportunity to work with an individual who got me on stage where I can speak and get paid. And due to that relationship, I now will be speaking on someone's stage, and I'll be getting paid for it. And that's a really cool thing. Now, that person didn't intend to. Sorry, the original person, my friend, didn't intend to get me on their stage. They just wanted to introduce me so that we could become affiliated. They said we were a great connection. It was probably that person was asking my friend, who do you know that would be interested in speaking? And they probably recommended me and sent me their way. Well, I was able to use that relationship to create profits for myself, because I was thinking about the things that I was good at and what I could do. Everything about this had nothing to do with my friend other than she made the introduction. And so it's important for you to understand that you should always use your relationships to create profits, but you want to do so in a way that benefits everybody and benefits you. What I'm going to do with those profits, just to share with you a way that you could benefit, if you can't find a way, or if you can't find a way to kind of share, or you're not entitled to. You don't have to share anything. That's not what this is all about. But what this is about is that there are creative ways that you can create solutions for you in your life and your profits. What I like to do is after this gig, after I speak and after I stand on stage and whatnot and get my paid, I get to send that person a gift. I get to send that person a thank you and saying, thank you. I appreciate the introduction. This is what it got me. I'm grateful for our friendship. How can I serve you? That's typically what I do. That's what I like to do. And gift giving is one of the best ways to do that. One of my favorite ways to give gifts is to send people books and to share those books and ideas with people, and to just share appreciation and gratitude. Those are things that just last for forever unless you drop them in the gutter. And who's reading books by gutters, right? So that's kind of my thought behind it, is just know how you can serve other people. Okay. So don't feel bad if the relationship you've used to get profits from isn't benefiting from it. Because in the end, you should always turn around and give gratitude. You should always turn around and give gratitude and thanks to the people who have helped you get there. So there's an idea for you. There's some thoughts. And I wanted to just kind of briefly highlight the negative side of how you used relationships to create profits. All of your profits should be because you've used a relationship, right? You should increase your profits. Let's say you're in the sales industry. Let's say you sell events, okay? Your relationships are going to fill that event. Who's gaining money from that? You, the speakers, and the individuals involved. So you're using your relationships, who you know, and your network to get people, to get hearts and seats, right? So that's an example that's really, really positive. We need to use our relationships to get profits. If you're in a multi-level marketing or a network marketing company or business, your relationships are everything. You need to treat people like awesomeness. And if and when you do, you reap incredible rewards. You help a lot of people. So there you go. There's an aspect to that. More questions and hopes and comments, looking for anyone else who wants to talk about this. Again, we're talking about, and I'm going to bring my banner back up. Oh, there it is. It is. Turn your partnerships into profits. There we go. Boom. By the way, this is streaming live on YouTube as well. So if you're not on Facebook, you can grab this on YouTube, which means there will also be a recording of it you can share and pass this along to people who you know. So goodness, this is good stuff. I love the idea of turning partnerships into profits. A lot of people have unofficial partnerships, which I highly recommend, as long as you have boundaries. Because it's the contractual binding partnerships that can put you in a world of hurt when you're unable to fulfill, right? And when you can create relationships that are reciprocal and understanding and trusting, you definitely have more opportunities. But when you have relationships that are binding and time bound, they're more contractual. There's a lot of more pressure, and those relationships become more difficult to manage and to increase. So that's something that I would completely be open to, is that more than ever and more than you should, create unofficial partnerships that aren't written, but are not written. Let me enunciate: are not written, but are people who you can trust and you can work with. That validation and that credibility creates a lot of increased opportunity for the growth of your business and your relationships. Some of you just joining might be wondering, well, how do I increase my relationships in turning them into partnerships? It's super simple. It really is super simple. Going back to the beginning, how you met that person, why you continue to have them in your phone, right? If you were to do a total purge or cleansing of the contacts in your phone and delete anyone who you don't really know or haven't kept in contact with, the question to me is, why do you still have them? Why do you still connect with them? Why are they valuable to you? Do you hold on to them? Is this like a hoarding thing? Do you hoard people in your connections because you feel like you could use them later? That's the wrong idea. You should have the right people in the right scenarios for you, and focus on that moving forward. It's important to know that your relationships are so valuable, and you have access to so many incredible relationships throughout the world. So here's a fun activity. A lot of people have said, well, how do you get paid from your relationships? Well, it's easy. You just ask people, right? This fun activity, and you don't have to do this. And some people are like, oh, that's dumb, that's rude. But like, is it really that rude? Let me give you an example. Test out. Here's a really good example of this. To test out who your real friends are, go to Venmo. You ready for this? Go to Venmo and write just a simple message, and Venmo everybody in requesting a Venmo of $1 from a bunch of people. Okay. And I'd say test this out with 10 or 15 people. Okay. And just see if you can make 15 bucks. Right. But the goal is not to make 15 bucks. The goal is to see who loves you, who are your friends. And then you can send them that dollar back. It doesn't matter. Like, you just want to test this. Right. But go to Venmo and just write requesting $1 for friendship and love. Okay. And you send it to a bunch of people, and you see how many people send you $1, right? Just $1. Why? $1. What does it matter? And then when they do, you send them the dollar back and say, I know you're a true friend. Thank you so much. Right. Or when they don't, you just move on, right? You don't have to be offended. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to do whatever about it. But I like this example because it's like, how do you generate profits? It's easy. It's simple. It's never too complicated. It's something that you can create on your own. And so as you focus on your business, in your business relationships, just recognize that people are willing to do stuff for you. You just need to ask. And oftentimes, if you haven't connected with someone in a while, take them to lunch, go on an outing, just connect with them for a little bit over an hour, and talk to them and see if there's a way that you two can collaborate, create connection, create value for each other. I love this example, and I think it's interesting, and it's good because it gives people kind of a sense of what they should be looking for in their physical. I said physical, but in the relationships they have between people. So turn your partnerships into profits, but your relationships are what's most important. If you have any questions, please post it in the comment section. If you would like to come on the screen because you'd like to mastermind or talk about, brainstorm maybe a relationship that you currently have and you're curious on how you can turn that into a profitable partnership, please post it below and we'll bring you on. Otherwise, we could end this broadcast a little bit earlier, and we can all get to developing better relationships with people. So as those comments come flying in or not, let's talk a little bit about the outcomes necessary to your relationships. Why is all this important? Why does this even matter? Why is this even a market to talk about? My question to you is, why aren't you leveraging the skills and talents from your friends? Why aren't you? Because if you truly knew, if there was a number of value, a graded system of people, of all the people combined in your world and your network, imagine what you could do if you could tap into that, right? There's so much power and there's so much ability that comes from you being able to connect with your partnerships and your relationships. And if you were able to put a number to that, imagine if you were part of that number. Imagine if you had access to that number. Imagine if you could actually grow and succeed and benefit from that number. Imagine that. The truth is you can, and it's not a bad thing. It's not a slimy thing. It's not bad at all. In fact, this is one of the coolest things in the world. It goes back to that Venmo thing. You can keep their $15, or you can value them by giving one person the total 15 that you gave to them, because friendships and value are so important, right? These are incredible. I have found that, and I've seen that in my life. Let me tell you a little bit of story about my life and what I've been doing recently. And I feel bad sometimes when I say it out loud, but mostly I just want people to know what I've been doing, right? It's vital, and it's important to measure your relationships, to focus on the people in your life. And I started to recognize that I would post and no one would engage, no one would like. But if it was like controversial or something people would argue, and people would post hate crime and hate texts and stuff like that, and it just happens. That just happens online, right? People bully. Not that I should tolerate that, but at the time it was just, I noticed that I couldn't get anything done online. And it's because I didn't have influence. I didn't have value to give and to share with people within my circles. So I started to slowly identify who was in my life, and how to replace those people with people who I'm looking to align my life with. Now, there are big gaps in my network, and there are big areas that I can definitely help people with, but I definitely need to continue moving people towards my inner circles. The other day we held up the diagram of a target, and the bullseye of the target is your ideal, most incredible relationships, right? Your best friends, the people who you hang out with most. Well, that's a great place to start. It's a great place to start and talk to these people and ask yourself, wow, how can we help each other? How can we work together? My group of friends growing up in high school were absolutely incredible. We had engineer-minded people. We had doctorate-minded people. We had these really incredible, creative people in our lives. And we did some cool things, like really cool things. Let me just tell you, we had some crushes on these girls across town from another high school that we were kind of friends with, same church and all. And because of our relationships, we came up with some of the coolest ideas. For example, we went to the store, and we knew that they gave away a lot of their old cardboard boxes. And what we did is we took all those free cardboard boxes, we put them on a trailer, and we built a cardboard mansion. And we took that cardboard mansion on the trailer over to these girls' houses, and we would park it on their front lawn. Their parents hated us, but we thought we were super cool. We even spent hours painting and designing, and we even inserted lights and really cool platforms where we did things to impress these girls. And then when we parked it on their lawn, we would sit out there and just kind of hang out and have fun and just say yoo-hoo, and we would have some fun, right? There really was no purpose to it other than we could create whatever we wanted and have a blast doing it. And those were incredible people. We had a absolute blast. We never spent more than we needed. We just had a good time. But those memories you can never trade. Those ideas and those thoughts are things you can never get rid of, because those are the things that stick with you over the years. And as you add value to people, as you add value by delving into people's strengths and talents and working together and benefiting them, you're only benefiting yourself in the long run. Right? You're only benefiting yourself in the long run. Okay, so Willie posted another question. He says, just curious, John, how do you begin to leverage the people in your life? Take a couple of hours and send messages to people in your phone or research them on social media, stalking. Then see how much value you can give them, or both, or neither. Interesting question. Very interesting question. So how do you begin to leverage the people in your life? Well, first of all, don't leverage anyone until you understand what leverage is, okay? When you understand, let me back up here because I know that this was a big thick comment, and I want you to be able to see my face for this. There we go. Kind of. So leverage, what is leverage? Leverage is utilizing someone's abilities or something that you don't have but someone else does, or maybe you do have it but it's better that it comes from someone else. Using somebody else in a positive way to gain a profit or to gain value from is absolutely critical in business. That is how the world is run. Don't trust your bank. He said, sorry, it's too long. No, it's fine. You get to see a small little mini head, like Beaker from the Muppets. Me, right? So take a bank, for example. Banks are these buildings, and these banks store your money. And they don't just keep it there and hold it safe, and they give you a nice little credit card so that you can spend your money eventually. Banks are using you. They make you feel like you're safe. They make you feel like everything that you've worked for, all your money is in a good place, and you can extract that money at any time, and you're good to go. Okay, but the truth is, a bank is using you, your relationship, your membership of their firm. Okay, they're using it. They're taking your money and they're selling it. They're selling it at a discount, and they're making profits 3-4 times greater than the money you actually have. But they have a pool of profits coming back into them because of the money they've spent and the money that they've used to leverage. And so that when you go about your daily life, you spend your money at Target, you go out to lunch, you do your golfing, you do whatever, you have accessible liquid funds from that bank because that's what they promised you. But the truth is it's not really your money. You've given it to them and they're leveraging it. They're using that money to make themselves profits. Otherwise, banks wouldn't make that much money just off of service fees and tracking you down. In fact, they lose a lot of money because they have to spend the resources in service fees and so forth. So just keep an idea that you begin to leverage. Just know what leverage is, right? You need to maximize, and there's the phrase, right? Maximize your current market and your relationships to help you make profits or to gain from your profits, right? There's the thing. Yeah, conversations, good times, fun trips, all that stuff is really great. But those relationships with those friends, what's the value of them? What's the purpose of it? Do they give you joy? Do they bring you inspiration? Do they bring you light? Do you like hanging out with them? What is the value that they bring you in your life? Just know how to leverage that, right? To figure out why that's important. Okay, and then going to the next part of the question is, do you take a couple hours to send messages to people in your phone or research them on social media? Then how much value can you give them? Both or neither? Look, I'll tell you this is you meet people, right, of similar interests. You meet people of similar game. Let's take LinkedIn, for example. LinkedIn is a great platform to try this because you're just meeting a bunch of random people. And it's like, why are they connecting? Most people on LinkedIn are trying to sell you or recruit you. And I'd say the majority is selling, and they're using the platform for an incorrect way. I've never sold anything on LinkedIn, but I've built great relationships. When you use LinkedIn correctly, it is a powerful tool. Okay, but let's talk about building those relationships. Do you message them? Yeah, but what are you looking for? What's your strategy? What's your strategy in how you build these relationships, and why? What are you working towards? That's the most important piece. We can get into the basics of send them messages, research, look through your phone and send them texts and so forth. But really, it's just what are you hoping to gain, and what is your focus? Once you have that as a clear idea, then you should be able to identify exactly what it is that you will be obtaining. That's my thought for you there. It sounds vague. It sounds impossible, but it's not. It's not. It's a simple factor, and it's something that you can definitely benefit throughout your life. Most people miss out on hundreds of thousands of dollars. Let's talk about dollars, and then let's talk about other values, opportunities, events, connections, relationships, assets, deals, travel, a bunch of things that you're missing out on because you're not leveraging people around you. And that's what we teach. That's what we've always taught. Willie asked me a question over the weekend that I have yet to answer, but sometimes the relationship game takes a lot longer than our patience, right? Sometimes the relationship game, because getting two bodies in the same direction is harder than just committing and converting one body in the same direction. And I think that's fascinating because there really is an art to it. The art of the JV, I call it, or JVology, joint ventures is what JV stands for. And when you create, a strategy behind the JVology of your life and your business, you have a better chance of changing your wealth status, your outcomes, and everything you do. And I believe that. And I know that we all know that that's something that you can definitely obtain just by the people who you know. We all have heard that phrase over and over again. I think Dale Carnegie said it, you're the average of the 5 people you spend your most time with. What if you don't spend time with anybody? You're the average of that. Are you a nobody? I don't know. There are some great figures in history who have had very, very little connections and relationships, but were more soloists, outdoorists, or even just like people who spent time alone. And in their solemnity, that they found a lot of value too. But it's the relationships. You can have relationships with nature. You can have relationships with energy. You can have relationships with products. You can have relationships with things that don't have a beating heart. Okay, you can have relationships with anything, but it's what you pour your time and leverage the capabilities and strengths and talents of those things. That's where you find a lot of success in business and in life. And I'm a huge advocate for that. So, okay, we've got 10 minutes left on this. Any other questions, please post it in the comments section. If this is of value to you, share it. If this is confusing, tell me. If this is something that you want to understand better, and you want more specific answers to, let me know. But we'll tell you stories all day long. I think it's time for another awesome. Oh, getting served breakfast in bed. That is awesome. This is the Book of Awesome. Every little thing that's awesome. I picked one up. This one, putting potato chips on a sandwich. Yeah, that's awesome. There was one that says, when you have that one square in your waffle that holds more syrup than the rest, that's awesome. Just like little things you think about, or little things that are just hilarious and good in your life. But everything's awesome. And things can be more awesome when you know how to use the right things. So if there are no other questions, no other thoughts, I'm inclined to end this just a little bit early so that we can all get to building better relationships and turning those things into profits. The way you do that today, here's my challenge to you, is take some advice from Willie's question there, and reach out to 5 people. Reach out to 5 people. They can be your closest, or they can be people who you've been meaning to reach out to for a while. And I want you to turn those relationships into something better, into something more. Feel free to serve them. How do you serve them? Observe, research, watch them. Say, hey, I loved your post. Is there any way I can help you increase, the traffic to your posts? Is there any way that I can help you improve? A lot of people are in it for themselves, and that's why a lot of people aren't succeeding. But there's a thing called the 3%, and everyone knows them, and everyone hopes that they will save the world by using their hard-earned money and work to rid us of the pains that we're experiencing. But the truth is that the 3% are smart. They know what to do. They know how to leverage better than anyone else. They know how to value their time and their relationships. So we just got a comment from somebody on YouTube. Hi, Trendy Villigar. Appreciate you coming on the show, dude. If you have any questions about turning your relationships into partnerships and how those partnerships become profits, shoot a comment or question in the comments section. So all in all, you guys just know what make the 3%, and how do we do that too. And it's not about riches. It's not about inheritance. It's not about any of that. It is always about partnerships, relationships, and leverage. These people have the ability and the capabilities of using their relationships to get what they need, to get what they want. And they also study. They don't waste time on other things. There's a lot of time management pieces to that. So, well, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you all. Thanks for tuning in. This has been a valuable conversation. I'm going to pull up on my screen tomorrow's conversations as well. And you shall see that on Fridays, we talk about successes and stories. So I'm inviting all of you to come back tomorrow, noon, Mountain Standard Time, and let's talk about some successes and some stories from the week. Let's talk about what's going on. This week, we had a member of our family pass away from COVID-19. I have struggled to maintain a really great at-home schedule, having shifted to being at home and in quarantine. There have been a lot of crazy things that have happened, and everyone's adjusting, but we want to talk about the wins. We want to focus on the wins. So tomorrow you're invited to come on and let's talk about some successes and tell some stories to people, because that's going to be fun. That's what it's all about. So I appreciate you. And if you have any questions or thoughts or comments, please post in this comments section, and we'll be sharing that over YouTube and Facebook. And you can follow us at Amplified Minds, or you can follow me, John Kovach Jr., at any one of those as well. And we typically love to share and love to show you how you can improve and increase your life and lifestyle through the people who you know. Once again, invitation has been sent out. If you are interested in joining a connecting group of people and individuals who will become your best friends and turn your life into a championship winning team, join our championship circle. The way you join is by applying. The application process is very critical because there are some expectations we uphold people to, and it's often that people are denied, but it's also often that people are accepted. So please apply for that. If you would like to learn more, please direct message me either here on my page or anywhere that you're finding this. If you have questions, you can also comment. Just ask about the Champion Circle, which is a connecting group that helps you build relationships that will elevate your life and your circles and turn your life into a winning championship team. Win at life and win at business. That's what we're all about. So I appreciate you. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow, 12 o'clock at Mountain Standard Time.